Have you ever felt like you were in the middle of a hurricane, with winds of fear slicing through your soul, while the world around you seemed calm? That feeling of being the only one standing, the only one in the eye of the storm, isolated and on high alert. You are in the eye of the storm is not just a metaphor. It is the reality of those who carry the flame of a greater purpose, but are tested by life incessantly, and, as chosen by the living God, this storm does not seek your destruction. It seeks your ascension, your total surrender to something that transcends circumstances. In this first chapter, we will explore how your protagonism, the fact that you have been placed in a unique position, endowed with gifts and responsibilities, makes you an invincible anomaly, but also a preferred target of emotional, relational, and spiritual storms. Anxiety, fear, and doubt do not arise by chance. They recognize in you a light that can illuminate paths, and so the storm grows around you, trying to extinguish your brilliance. 1. The hurricane of self-demand. As a natural leader, you set high goals for yourself. The chosen one within you wants to deliver more than the crowd expects, but this pursuit of excellence sometimes turns into a whirlwind of self-criticism. You find yourself repeating, "If I'm not perfect, he'll disappoint everyone." The first sub-niche is that of high standards that paralyze. The solution is not mediocrity, but strategic compassion, setting goals that elevate without destroying, celebrating each step, and learning from each stumble. 2. The current of other people's burdens. You absorb the pain of those around you, believing that, as the chosen one, you must carry the burden of others. This makes you swim against a current of expectations and dramas that are not yours. You need to learn to flow without drowning. Balanced empathy respects your limits, and compassion doesn't require sacrificing your peace. 3. The relationship whirlwind amid friendships, family, and teams. The storm whispers memes of rejection and abandonment. If you fail, they will leave you. This sub-niche brings the fear of being replaced or forgotten. As the chosen one, you need to set firm but graceful boundaries, honest conversations, strategic no's, and sincere presence without aggression or omission. 4. The financial thunderstorm. Your grandiose vision can attract doubt and criticism. Pick the wrong investment, and everything collapses. This sub-niche reveals monetary anxiety, paralysis before expansion. The antidote is the storm budget, composed of 3 segments: survival, growth, and expression, each adjusted for storms and calms. 5. The lightning of lack of faith. Even the faith of the chosen one is attacked. If God had willed it, this wouldn't have happened. This spiritual sub-niche portrays the storm as a trial, not abandonment. The strength of the chosen lies in trusting before seeing calm. Practice the daily silence of faith. 10 minutes of prayer or meditation focused on gratitude, reinforcing that the storm is not the end, but a prelude to a miracle, the great turning point. From destiny to decision, the storm recognizes in you a light that can guide multitudes. That's why it tries to pull you down. But as the chosen one of the living God, you are not led by the storm. You lead it. The turning point is not surviving the gale. It is learning to dance in the rain, guided by the conviction that each thunderclap is a call to raise your faith, and each drop is a baptism of your strength. Chosen one of the living God, we will now unravel the anatomy of fear, how anxiety spreads in your thoughts, and what mental triggers activate the inner hurricane. Prepare to take the helm with direct strategies to transform each gust into momentum. The anatomy of fear. Uncovering the structure of the inner storm. Do you remember the feeling? The air thickens, the pressure shifts, and suddenly the sky within you collapses. It's not just anxiety. It's a storm with its own anatomy, a structure of fear that manifests in your thoughts, your body, and your soul. In the last chapter, we established that you, as the chosen one of the living God, are at the center of this hurricane. Now, let's dissect the storm. Well, understand how it's built, brick by brick, so you can dismantle it, piece by piece. Knowing the anatomy of your fear is the first step to becoming the master of your own life's weather. This isn't a cold, clinical analysis. It's a map of your mind's battlefield, a guide to navigating the drafts of doubt and the thunderstorms of uncertainty. The storm isn't random. It has a pattern, a perverse logic that, once understood, loses its terrifying power. The invisible trigger, the voice of the inner accuser. Every storm begins with a spark. Often, that spark isn't external. It's not a bill to pay or a criticism from your boss. It's a voice, a subtle voice, most familiar, echoing inside your head and planting the first seed of doubt. You're not good enough. They'll find out you're a fraud. You'll fail. As always, this is your inner accuser, and it is the master architect of your anxiety storm. As the chosen one of the living God, you carry a calling, a purpose, and that is precisely why this voice is so ferocious. It doesn't attack the mediocre. It attacks the exceptional. It knows that if it can convince you that you are incapable, it will have neutralized the greatest threat to its reign of fear. The mechanism is simple and devastating. The voice plants a lie. Your mind waters it with repetition, and the emotion of anxiety flourishes like a toxic crop. The disarming strategy, the tool to silence the accuser, is not denial, but investigation. Become a detective of your own mind. When the voice whispers its accusation, don't fight it. Instead, ask with the authority of a chosen one of the living God. What is the evidence for this accusation? Who benefits when I believe this? Is this 100% true? Beyond a shadow of a doubt. By questioning the voice, you take away its power. You expose it for what it is. An echo of the past, not the truth of the present. The theological response. When the body shouts before the mind, while your mind processes the accuser's lie, your body is already reacting. Your heart races. Your hands sweat. Your breath becomes shallow. This is your biological alarm system. Your amygdala acting like an overprotective security guard to your primal senses. A stressful email at work is indistinguishable from a predator in the forest. The body doesn't understand metaphors. It understands survival. For the chosen one of the living God, this reaction can be particularly confusing. Why is my body reacting this way if I am safe? You ask yourself. The answer is that your body is stuck in a memory loop. It remembers past storms and reacts as if the threat is imminent, even if the only threat is a thought. Anxiety hijacks your biology, transforming your temple into a prison of physical symptoms. The disarming strategy. You can't reason with your body, but you calm it. The most powerful technique is the command breath. Inhale slowly for a count of 4. Hold for 4. And exhale slowly for a count of 6. As you exhale, say aloud or mentally, "Body, I am in command. You are safe. Calm down." Repeat for 90 seconds. This action sends a direct biochemical signal to your nervous system to shift out of fight or flight mode and into rest and digest mode. You're using your conscious mind to hijack the unconscious response. Future projection. Experiencing catastrophe before it happens with the body on high alert. The anxious mind does what it does best. Travel to the future, but not to a future of hope. It travels to the worst-case scenario. You're not just worried about tomorrow's meeting. You're living out your layoff, bankruptcy, and public humiliation in your mind, in vivid and terrifying detail. This is called catastrophizing. As the chosen one of the living God, your mind is a tool of creation. You were designed to visualize the future God has planned for you. Anxiety corrupts this ability, using your powerful imagination to build a prison of fear. It forces you to rehearse failure over and over again, draining your energy and confidence before the actual event even happens. The disarming strategy. The tool here is scenario re-engineering. Take your mental catastrophe and, on paper, divide it into 3 columns. 1. The worst-case scenario, what you're already experiencing in your head. 2. The best-case scenario, what you secretly hope for. 3. The most likely scenario, a realistic, neutral version, usually somewhere in between. By seeing all 3 scenarios on paper, you break the spell of single, catastrophic thinking. You realize that reality is rarely as extreme as your anxiety paints it. The echo of memory, ghosts of the past in the present today's storm, is almost always fueled by yesterday's rain. Your current anxiety has deep roots in past experiences. A betrayal, a humiliation, a moment of powerlessness. Your brain has created a threat file based on these memories. When a current situation even remotely resembles past pain, the alarm automatically goes off. For the chosen of the living God, this is a spiritual and emotional trap. The enemy of your soul loves to use ghosts from your past to sabotage your future. He whispers, "Remember how you failed last time. It'll happen again." He uses your scars not as proof of your resilience, but as evidence of your weakness. The disarming strategy. It's time to rewrite history. Take a memory that fuels your anxiety. Write it down in detail. Then, now, when she, as the chosen one of the living God, rewrite the ending. Don't change the facts, but change the perspective. What have you learned from this? How has this experience made you stronger? Visa to understand it easy, more compassionate. By rewriting the meaning of your story, you strip the emotional power of memory. The ghost doesn't disappear, but it loses its ability to haunt you. By understanding these four components, the accuser, the physical reaction, the future projection, and the echo of memory, you reach a crucial turning point. You realize that anxiety is not a character flaw. It's a system, a predictable machine. And if you understand how the machine works, you can turn it off. You are not the storm. You are the storm watcher. You are the meteorologist who studies the patterns, identifies the air fronts, and predicts the arrival of severe weather. This dissociation is the birth of your sovereignty. Anxiety may roar, but now you know it is just a phenomenon, not your identity. Now, let's take this theoretical knowledge and turn it into a weapon. We will learn the command prayer, a spiritual speaking technique that allows you, the chosen one of the living God, to speak directly to the storm and command it to calm down. Prepare to take control of the weather. The command prayer, speaking to the storm from the eye of the hurricane above. We dissected the anatomy of your inner storm. You learn to identify the accuser, calm your body's response, and diffuse catastrophic projections. You have become the meteorologist of your own mind. Now, let's go a step further. Let's step out of the monitoring room and into the command center. Welcome to the eye of the hurricane, the only place of peace and power amidst the chaos. It is from here, and only from here, that you, as the chosen one of the living God, will learn to speak to the storm and command it to calm down. This is not a prayer of supplication, where you humbly ask for relief. This is the prayer of command. It is a declaration of spiritual authority, a royal decree issued from your inner throne. Anxiety, fear, and doubt are not your masters. They are your servants, and they are about to learn who truly calls the shots in your life. The decree of peace, activating spiritual authority. The first and most fundamental tool of command is the decree of peace, based on the story of Jesus calming the storm in Mark 4:39. This is not a request, but a direct command. Anxiety is a storm, and it obeys only the voice of its commander. As the chosen one of the living God, you have the same authority on earth as Christ. Luke 10:19. And this includes mastery over the inner storms, the practice of command. Close your eyes. Feel the turbulence around you, the winds of worry, the waves of fear. Now, instead of cringing, straighten your inner posture. Take a deep breath and, with the voice of your soul, declare aloud or in a firm whisper, peace, be still. Repeat this 3 times, not as a wish, but as a fact you are decreeing. Feel the authority of these words. They are not yours. They are the words of the commander within you. The storm may resist at first, but divine authority cannot be denied. The renunciation of the lie, canceling the voice of the accuser. Remember the inner accuser we identified in chapter 2? the one who whispers, "You're not good enough." The prayer of command now addresses it directly. You will no longer debate it. You will dismiss it. Renunciation is a legal and spiritual act of canceling the authority of the lie over your life. The practice of command. Identify the specific lie that anxiety is using against you right now. Is it "I am a failure"? "No one loves me"? "Am I alone in this"? Now firmly declare, "I renounce this lie. I break and undo it now. It no longer has authority over me." Then replace the lie with the truth of your commander. Truth is that I am more than a conqueror. The truth is that I am loved unconditionally. The truth is that my commander never leaves me nor forsakes me. This is an act of spiritual cleansing, sweeping the filth of doubt out of your inner temple, activating the divine attributes, flooding the storm with presence. Darkness cannot survive the light. Anxiety cannot survive the manifest presence of your commander. The prayer of command at this level is not just about speaking against the storm, but about activating the presence of God within you, flooding every corner of your soul with His attributes. The practice of command. As the storm rages, begin to declare the attributes of your King. Don't just recite them, but feel them. My God is perfect love, and love casts out fear. Feel the warmth of that love melting the ice of anxiety. My God has given me a spirit of power, not of fear. Feel the strength flooding your bones, replacing weakness. My God has given me a spirit of self-control. Feel calm and clarity replacing reactivity. You are actively changing the spiritual atmosphere around you, making it uninhabitable for fear. The proclamation of identity. The shield of "I am the storm" attacks your identity. It wants you to see yourself as a victim, anxious, broken. The final command prayer is the proclamation of who you truly are, not based on your feelings or circumstances, but based on the declaration of your commander. The practice of command. You look the storm in the eye and declare your true identity. I am not anxiety. I am chosen by the living God. I am not fear. I am a child of the King. I am not a victim. I am more than a conqueror in Christ. My peace does not come from circumstances. My peace comes from my commander, who has already overcome the world. This proclamation is your shield. No arrow of doubt or fear can penetrate it, because it is forged on the unshakable rock of your divine identity. The storm becomes your rug when you practice these 4 levels of the command prayer. Something extraordinary happens. The storm doesn't magically disappear, but it does lose its power over you. The winds may still howl, but they no longer knock you down. The waves may still rise, but they don't drown you. You discover that you can walk on the turbulent surface of your emotions, not because they have calmed, but because you have become stronger than them. You, chosen by the living God. I don't use it upon are no longer a passive victim in the midst of the storm. You are the commander in the eye of the storm, and your voice has the power to bring order to the chaos. In the next chapter, we will take this newfound authority and apply it to the fiercest battlefield of all, the outside world. We will learn how to navigate relationships, finances, and responsibilities, not as someone trying to survive, but as a king walking his territory, establishing his own terms, navigating the outer world, bringing peace from the eye of the hurricane to the mundane terrain. Now that you've learned to position yourself as a commander in the eye of the inner hurricane, it's time to bring that authority to the outer world. The storm isn't confined to your mind. It spreads through relationships, finances, responsibilities, and every space where you interact with the world. But as the chosen one of the living God, you won't navigate these terrains as someone trying to survive the chaos. You will walk them as a king who brings his own peace, transforming the terrain around you, not simply adapting to it. This isn't a journey of isolating yourself from the world to maintain your calm. It's a journey of entering the world with the presence of your commander, of being a beacon of peace amidst other hurricanes. Every interaction, every financial decision, every responsibility is an opportunity to declare that your identity as the chosen one is stronger than the winds of the world. Let's begin with the terrain where the outer storm is most frequent. Relationships. Inner anxiety often transforms into people-pleasing behavior, fear of conflict, or difficulty setting boundaries. You feel compelled to say yes to everything to maintain peace. But this peace is false, and it drains your energy. As chosen by the living God, the peace you carry doesn't depend on pleasing everyone. It depends on honoring your truth and the truth of others with grace. The practice here is the peace talk. When you feel pressure to do something that doesn't align with your identity or your rest, stop and speak with sincerity, not defensively. Say that you value the relationship, but that you need to honor your boundaries. It's not about being rigid. It's about being honest. You'll realize that worthwhile relationships don't break down with a respectful boundary. They grow stronger because they are based on truth, not on illusions of peace. The next terrain is finances. The storm of anxiety here manifests as fear of scarcity, hesitation about investing, or guilt about spending on something that brings you joy. You may feel compelled to save to the extreme, or to spend excessively to calm the fear of the clear moment. As the chosen one of the living God, your financial security does not depend on your account balance. It depends on trust in your commander, who has promised to provide for your needs. The practice here is trust budgeting. Divide your resources into 3 parts. 1 for survival, food, housing, health. 1 for growth, investments, learning, and 1 for expression. Things that bring you peace, like a walk, a book, or a gift for someone. Allocate each part with the certainty that provision is not only your work, but also the grace of your commander. It's not about being perfect in budgeting. It's about walking confidently, knowing that you are not alone in managing your resources. The third realm is that of responsibilities. The storm here transpires, overwhelmed. You commit to tasks that don't align with your calling because you believe it's your duty to rescue everyone. You end up exhausted, lacking energy for what truly matters. As the chosen one of the living God, your responsibilities are not a burden. They are part of your calling, and rest is also part of that plan. The practice here is the rhythm of yes and no. Daily, evaluate each task you commit to. Does it align with your calling as the chosen one? Does it bring you closer to the purpose your commander has for you? If the answer is no, say no with grace. If the answer is yes, do it with intention, not obligation. You will discover that rest is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of wisdom, allowing you to do your work with greater quality and greater peace. The fourth earthly place is the testimony you have left in others. When you walk with this outer peace, even amidst chaos, you become a beacon for those in their own storms. Someone might ask how you manage your calm in the midst of conflict, or how you manage your finances with confidence. You don't have to have all the answers. You can say that you're not perfect, but that you walk with a commander who gives you peace that surpasses understanding. The practice here is the moment of peace. In any conflicting or stressful interaction, stop for a minute, take a deep breath, and bring your inner peace into the moment. It's not about solving the problem immediately. It's about bringing a point of calm to the chaos and showing that it's possible to walk in peace, even when everything around you is in turmoil. When you apply this outer authority, something profoundly changes. You will no longer be affected by the storms of the world as before. You will begin to see that outer chaos has no power over the inner peace you carry as the chosen one of the living God. You will walk through relationships, finances, and responsibilities with the assurance that you are following your commander's plan, not the noise of the world. Let's explore what happens when the outer storm is stronger than you expected. Let's learn to retreat to recharge without feeling like a failure, and to return to the battlefield stronger and more at peace, knowing that your commander is always by your side. Chapter 5. When the storm is bigger than you, retreat without running, recharge without guilt, and return stronger. There are days when the sky suddenly darkens, the phone call that changes course, the diagnosis that freezes the heart, the message that ends a bond, the dismissal without warning, the loss that has no replacement. Even for those who have learned to calm the winds within, there are supercells that reach us from without. And you, chosen by the living God, need a map for those moments when the storm is bigger than any preparation. This chapter is a field manual for real crises. It's not theory. It's survival engineering and meaning. We will work on 3 strategic moves: retreat without running, recharge without guilt, and return stronger. And we'll do this by addressing specific storm fronts: losses, diagnosis, ruptures, financial collapses, and reputational attacks. Retreat without running away. Retreating is creating space to stabilize and see. Running away is denying and paralyzing. In acute crises, adopt the 72-hour protocol. 1. In the first 72 hours, don't sign contracts. Don't make irreversible decisions. or post-rants. Your system is flooded with adrenaline and cortisol. Thinking becomes binary and narrow. 2. Triage reality. 1. Write 3 columns. Fact, interpretation, projection. Fact is what indisputably occurred. Interpretation is what you concluded. Projection is what the mind catastrophizes. Reading this on paper restores proportion. 3. Establish a containment circle. Choose 1 person to call, 3 stabilizing tasks, and 5 things you want to get. Nice. Don't consume and use. Don't respond to provocations. Don't revisit old conversations. I call this the 1-3-5 rule. Recharge without guilt. Guilt makes the body try to perform in emergency mode. Recharging is physiology and spirit. Sometimes the greatest act of faith is sleep. 10-minute anchors for storms. 4-7-8 breathing for 2 minutes. 5 4 3 2 1 grounding. 5 things you see. 4 you fear. 3 you hear. 2 you smell. 1 you taste. Water and quick protein. A large glass of water, a yogurt or egg. Morning light for 5 minutes. Simple prayer. I am here, Lord. My heart. Guide my step and guard my heart today. 48-hour home retreats. News diet. Also do 0. Sleep as a priority. Set bedtime and wake up time. Daily light walk. List of graces. 5 items a day, even in the midst of pain. Structured silence. 10 minutes twice a day. From to 1. Irreparable losses. Grief. You can't cure what isn't an illness. Grief is something you go through. Use the 4 R's of grief. Acknowledge. Name the loss without euphemisms. I lost X. It hurts like this. Respect. Allow for fluctuations. Some days are productive. Others are days of retreat. Ritualize. Create symbols. A letter. Handle. A place of remembrance. A weekly gesture. Reorient. Gradually return to small routines that anchor your life. Simple meals. Bathing. Sun exposure. Contact with safe people. Practical tool. Grief diary. Mark 3. Minimum commitments on your calendar per day for 30 days. Eat real food. Move your body for 10-20 minutes. Talk to someone. The goal is not to get over it. It's to prevent life from collapsing while the soul processes. From 2. Do. Difficult diagnosis, yours or a loved one's. The mind tries to negotiate reality or gets lost in belated research. Focus on what brings power. Care protocol. Consult 2 medical opinions when possible. Unify information. A notebook of symptoms, exams, and questions. Implement a minimum routine. Sleep, hydration, nutrition, and gentle movement. Medicine and faith work best in a regulated body. Develop a network. 3 people with clear roles. Transportation, companionship, organization. Embrace emotions. Allow fear and crying without identifying with them. Say, I'm feeling it, not I am this. Renew hope. Nushed. Anchor phrases. Calming music. Life texts as chosen by the living God. Remember that hope is not denial. It is foundation. Clear request tool. Send a straightforward message to close friends with 3 specific ways they can help. For example, Tuesday morning. I need to go to the hospital. Can you? It would be very helpful if you could bring soup, and if you could stay in the room for 30 minutes so I can rest. Those who love want to serve, but need clarity. Area 3. Sudden ruptures. Relationship. Partnership. Employment. Ruptures disrupt identity and routine. The risk here is filling the void with confusing action. 4P plan. Stop. 72 hours of operational silence. Nothing definitive is decided in this window. Prepare. Inventory of assets. What's left? Support network. Skills. Resources. Principles. Health. Ask. Advice from 2 types of people. One who loves and knows you. Another who is knowledgeable about the subject. Continue. Next 3 modest steps with dates. Update resume. Schedule 3 business meetings. Organize a separation documents. Change passwords. Create a transition budget. The past provides context, but does not govern the next step. Dignified communication. When you need to speak, use short sentences without accusations. I am concluding this stage. I appreciate what was possible, and I continue with respect. Those who want to fight lose their charm when they find calm firmness. From 4. Financial collapse. A crisis is mathematics before it is drama. Make a 90-day cash flow map. Inflows. Fixed outflows. Variable outflows. Dipped. Needs. Dips. Deadlines. Then apply the 30-30-30-10 crisis budget. 30% unavoidable survival. 30% debt renegotiation with a concrete proposal. 30% quick revenue generation, lower ticket products or services. Freelance work. Overtime. 10% emergency fund to avoid sinking in the next unforeseen event. Renegotiation roadmap. Acknowledge the debt. Propose something feasible. Offer a minimum guarantee. Schedule a follow-up. Example. I acknowledge the debt of X. I'll pose it for 3 months. While I regularize my income, I can issue a note contract. On day 8, I'll send an update. From 5. Attacks on reputation and social noise when there is gossip, public injustice, or amplified error of yours. Use the 3's rule. Initial strategic silence to gather facts. Summary. Summa. A short, factual note, without adjectives. I regret what happened. Here are the facts. These are the next steps. Avoid lengthy defenses. Support with evidence. Documents. Testimonies. Timeline. An ally can be helpful to avoid emotional exposure. Errors a reminder. The goal isn't to convince everyone. It's to inform those who matter and protect what's essential to your purpose. Return stronger. A good crisis is one that changes you. After you've made it through, conduct an honest debrief. Key questions. What did the storm expose that was already fragile? What did the storm cleanse that I'd been putting off? What habits will I need to establish to avoid returning to the same place? 30-60-90 Rebuilding Plan. 30 days. Stabilize systems. Sleep. Nutrition. Minimum finances. Essential tasks. Close small pending issues. Reduce promises. 60 days. Redesign routines with realistic goals. Reconnect with key people. Start 2 small-scale pilot projects. 90 days. Consolidate learnings. Document processes. Intensify what worked. Eliminate what was burdensome. Schedule a rite of passage. A simple dinner. A meeting. A letter to yourself in the future. Abandon. Adjust. Deepen tool. That is, abandon what worked at the expense of your peace. Adjust what is necessary to sustain the next cycle. Deepen what gives you life and impact. The spiritual dimension. How I chose from the living God. Your identity is not diluted in bad times. On every front, turn to the place of presence. Often, you won't receive explanations, but you will receive companionship. And companionship from above reshapes courage. A simple and constant prayer. I surrender to what I cannot control and assume what falls to me today. Closing, retreating without running away. Recharging without guilt. And returning stronger are not slogans. They are a path in storms bigger than you. The goal is not performative heroism. It is fidelity to the possible step. And the possible step, repeated, paves the way. When the sky darkens again, and one day it will, you will not be at its mercy. You will have a map, a rhythm, and a memory of victory. And you will bring, once again, peace from the eye of the storm to the outside world. Next, we will move on to how to maintain command when the people you lead or love are in a storm and pulling you into the whirlwind. We will talk about compassion without codependency and influence without control. Shields against the storm of criticism. Persisting in identity when the world demands you explain yourself. Have you ever felt exposed before the crowd, as if every glance were a judgment and every word a verdict? Perhaps you posted an idea online, or spearheaded a bold project, or simply made a decision that didn't please everyone. Within minutes, a flood of comments appeared. Who does he think he is? Jess lost her mind. This will never work. The storm of criticism and disapproval can feel more violent than any internal storm because it comes from without, laden with real voices, names, and faces. And you, chosen by the living God, need shields to maintain your peace when the winds of public opinion try to tear away your identity. This chapter will equip you with 3 layers of protection. The internal shield, awareness of your source. The relational shield, who has the right to speak. and the strategic shield, how to respond or not. We will also address specific sub-niches of criticism: family, professional, digital, and self-criticism disguised as an external voice. 1. Inner shield. The source compass. The first defense against criticism is to remember who defines you. The world measures value by performance, appearance, and popularity. Your identity, however, comes from the one who chose you before any like. This is the source compass. Every time criticism hits, ask yourself where your value comes from. If it comes from applause, you crumble under the booing. If it comes from God, the booing reveals it was applauding idolatry, not authenticity. Anchoring, minute practice. More. Close your eyes, breathe slowly, and repeat in your mind, I was chosen before the foundation of the world. My essence is loved. Applause does not elevate me. Criticism does not diminish me. Do this before opening social media or facing a difficult conversation. 2. Relational shield. Who can enter the circle? Not every opinion should have free access to your heart. Visualize the 3 concentric circles. The core, 3 to 5 people, are mentors, close friends, those who share your values and dare to speak the truth in love. The second circle, 10 to 20 people, are collaborators, colleagues, and close family members. The third circle is the general public, who often speak without context. When criticism arrives, ask, which circle does this voice come from? Only the core has the authority to shape your identity. The second circle offers feedback, not a verdict. The third circle is noise to be filtered. Shielding exercise. Note who is in the core. Share vulnerabilities only with these names. When receiving criticism from outside, first consult with someone in the core. Does it make sense? Does this reflect me or their pain? 3. Strategic shield. 1. Respond, redirect, or silence. The instinctive reaction is to explain, justify, and counterattack. Often, this fuels the fire. 3 questions to help you decide. A. Does this criticism contain a correctable fact, or is it a subjective opinion? B. Is the critic willing to engage in real dialogue, or just emotional release? C. If I respond, does it change something essential, or just soothe my ego? If the criticism contains a correctable fact and comes from someone important, respond humbly. You are right on this point. I've already corrected it. If it's an unfounded opinion, redirect. I understand your perspective. I remain committed to my vision. If it's a gratuitous attack, remain silent. No warrior argues with every provocateur. They save energy for battles that matter. Sub-niches of criticism. Family criticism, usually loaded with old expectations. You should have chosen a safe career. Response. I appreciate your concern, but I've decided to follow this path aligned with what I believe to be my purpose. I use a calm, non-defensive tone. I set limits. I don't need approval, but mutual respect. Professional criticism comes as feedback or a boycott. Strategy: document facts. Keep results visible. Seek external mentoring to validate if the criticism reveals flaws. Refining processes is maturity. Accepting passive labels is imprisonment. Digital criticism. Multiple anonymous voices. The 10-minute rule. Read if necessary, but wait 10 minutes before responding. If still valid, respond once, politely, without reply. Use filters. Offensive keywords can be blocked. Toxic comments can be removed. Your peace of mind is worth more than proving a point to strangers. Internalized criticism. When the internal accuser echoes external statements. For example, you posted something and think, "Nobody cared. I must be irrelevant." Identify, did this come from someone else or from your own insecurity? Reapply your internal shield. Remember the source of the value and replace the narrative of rejection with the reality of the process. Daily practice tools. Evidence journal. Record small victories. Real positive feedback. Responses from satisfied customers. Words of encouragement from the core. When criticism comes, read this journal. It counteracts the distortion. Printed purpose statement. A clear paragraph about your mission. Place it where you will see it daily. Criticism that tries to divert you loses its power when confronted with a written mission. Negative network fast. 24 hours without scrolling comments after an important post. This gives your body time to not react in fight or flight mode to every notification. Blessing over the critic. A short prayer, wishing the critic well. This breaks the cycle of resentment and reactions and keeps your heart light. Emotional climax, or the public test. There will come a day when you, chosen by the living God, will receive massive criticism. It could be a genuine error exposed or pure collective envy. This is the public test. The difference between crumbling and remaining is remembering the 3 shields. Breathe. Consult your core. Correct facts. Release what doesn't belong. Your reputation is important, but it doesn't define your destiny. What sustains you in the end is character. Ending the chapter. Well, applause and boos are passing winds. Only the voice that called you a beloved child matters. When you walk with this conviction, criticism becomes dust that doesn't stick to your skin. Next, well, apply these shields in a mission and visibility scenario. How to advance bold projects without being blocked by the fear of making a public mistake, and how to transform feedback into fuel for excellence. Bold projects and visibility. Advancing without fear of the public stage. Have you ever felt butterflies in your stomach when a leadership opportunity presents itself? An invitation to speak in public. Launch a product. Publish a book. Start a channel. Take on a position. Your anxious mind races. What if I fail in full view of everyone? What if they laugh? What if this marks my reputation forever? It's the fear of exposure, the echo of previous chapters, but now heightened by the audience factor. As the chosen one of the living God, You were designed to hold your light high and shine, not to hide it under the table. This chapter is a step-by-step guide to transforming visibility into a tool of purpose, not a trigger for panic. Well, divide it into 4 sub-niches. 1. The physical stage. Meetings, classrooms. 2. The digital stage. Social media, videos, podcasts. 3. The stage of authority, leading teams and projects. And 4. The internal stage, self-perception when no one is watching. For each, concrete practices that reduce anxiety and increase mission clarity. Sub-niche 1. The physical stage. Your presence before your performance stage. Anxiety stems from the misconception that audiences want perfection. In reality, they want connection. Studies show that listeners remember a speaker's energy more than specific data. The key, therefore, is to command the body to enter presence mode before thinking about performance. A 3-point ritual 10 minutes before. 1. Feet firmly on the floor, body erect. 4, 7, 8 breathing, 4 inhales, 7 holds, 8 exhales. 2. Open hands, declaring in your mind, I am chosen by the living God. I carry peace, not pressure. 3. Quick visualization. Imagine transferring warmth from your heart to the room. Like a cozy light, the audience becomes an ally, not a judge. I hook goal story calls structure. Begin with a question or shocking fact. Explain the goal of the talk in a simple sentence. Tell a short personal story. And conclude with a call to action. This order holds attention and reduces the time the mind can dwell on am I doing well. Sub-niche 2. The digital stage. Publishing without paralysis. The internet amplifies feedback, global applause, or viral criticism. Digital fear kills projects before they even begin. 70-30 strategy. Whoa. Publish drafts that are 70% polished and leave 30% open to future improvement. Consistency trumps perfectionism. Remember, most people are too busy with their own lives to analyze every detail of their lives. Intention check-in. Before posting, ask yourself, does this serve my mission? Or is it just a validation search? If it serves the mission, post it. Then step away from the platform for 30 minutes. Don't count likes in real time. That's just an ignite cycle of anxiety. Or reddit comment zone. By setting word filters and blocking toxic accounts, you protect energy. This isn't censorship. It's emotional hygiene. Sub-niche 3. The authority stage. Leading without carrying the world when you take on leadership. Mistakes gain the spotlight. The fear is my failure will cost others their salary. Transform leadership from I should to we can. Create a 3-to-1 committee. 3 key people to advise decisions. 2 key indicators, quality and team well-being. And a bi-weekly transparency meeting. Sharing responsibilities dilutes pressure. Revision mirror technique. 1. Critique. Gather the team and ask each member to write how the project impacts the greater purpose. Read it aloud. This reinforces that the work is bigger than anyone's ego, including yours. Anxiety decreases when everyone remembers who they serve. Subnisha 4. The inner stage. Audience of one, even away from the spotlight. The mind projects imaginary audiences. You revisit old statements, judge yourself in retrospect, and create dialogues that will never happen. This inner stage is the cruelest antidote. Nighttime thought audit. Before bed, write down 3 scenes from the day where self-criticism surfaces. Ask, if a friend were in this situation, would I make these accusations? If the answer is no, replace the phrase with a more accurate one. For example, it was ridiculous becomes it was practical learning. Do this for 21 nights. You recalibrate your inner judge, integrating the 4 stages, applying physical presence, digital consistency, shared leadership, and self-compassion creates a virtuous cycle. You gain visibility muscles. Each exposure becomes a training session, not a final test. And when the wind of criticism blows, you have shields. Chapter 7. And mission foundations. Previous chapter. 30-day plan to boldly, visibly, week 1. Post something 70% finished on a professional social network. Speak for 5 minutes in a small meeting using the hook meta story call. And words, what is it to the gap or down and here to invite a colleague to co-lead part of the project. Applying the 3-2-1 committee. Week 4. Practice a thought audit every night. Once the cycle is complete, review progress and adjust. Chapter climax. The big turning point comes when you realize that visibility doesn't increase risk. It increases the reach of your purpose. As the chosen one of the living God, you were not made to hide your talent. He wants the light to be seen so others can find their way. Your role is to sharpen the spotlight, not run from it. In the next chapter, we will culminate with the final manifesto of the storm. We will see your invincible identity and deliver the ultimate CTA, calling you to publicly declare your sovereignty, the power of vertical connection, anchoring your sovereignty in God in the midst of a global storm. Have you ever felt like storms aren't just coming for you, but for the entire world? Global economic crises, pandemics that paralyze nations, social conflicts that divide societies, natural disasters that reshape landscapes. The noise outside is deafening. Voices contradict each other, and collective fear is a tsunami that threatens to sweep away even the most prepared. In this scenario of widespread chaos, the authority you've forged over your internal storms and the peace you've learned to carry in the external world seems small, almost insignificant. But what if I told you that it is precisely in this moment of global storm that your identity as the chosen one of the living God becomes your greatest anchor? This chapter is about the power of vertical connection, how to root yourself in the source of all peace and power, not to escape reality, but to face it with a sovereignty that the world can neither give nor take away. The horizontal response trap. When global chaos erupts, the first human reaction is to seek answers on the horizontal plane. We run to news, experts, governments, friends, memories. We seek solutions, explanations, blame, distractions. It's a frantic search for control in an uncontrollable scenario. Collective anxiety feeds on itself, and you, even with all the tools of self-mastery, can find yourself sucked into the whirlpool of general fear. You waste your energy trying to fix what is beyond your reach, or despair over what you cannot change. As chosen by the living God, your source of peace and power is not in the circumstances. It is above the circumstances. The vertical anchoring strategy. Vertical connection is a deliberate act of redirecting your attention and trust from the chaotic horizontality of the world to the stable verticality of your commander. It's not about ignoring what happens, but about processing it through a filter of divine sovereignty. 1. The conscious news protocol. In times of crisis, the media is an avalanche of information. The enemy of your soul loves to use the media to spread fear and panic. Intentional consumption. Set specific times and sources to inform yourself. Form E.G. or media. 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the evening, using reliable and neutral sources. Post-news meditation. Stop. After consuming the news, close your eyes for 2 minutes. Breathe deeply. Repeat mentally, my peace does not come from the headlines, but from the source of peace. Surrender your worries to God. Deliberate action. Don't just consume. Act. What is within your control? Pray. Help someone directly. Focus on your work to maintain stability. Conscious action is the antidote to passive despair. 2. The shield of spiritual truth. Amidst conflicting narratives and false information, vertical connection equips you with an unshakable shield. Eternal truth. Words of life. Memorize and meditate on biblical passages or sacred texts that speak of peace, provision, courage, and God's sovereignty. X. Philippians 4:6-7. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Declarations of faith. Out loud. Declare, I am chosen by the living God. He is my refuge and my strength. In him I trust. These statements rewrite the script of fear in your subconscious. 3. Alignment of collective purpose. What? You're not called to be an island, but to be a light. In times of chaos, your individual purpose aligns with a greater collective purpose. To be an agent of peace, hope, and love. Practice. Intentional service. Volunteer. Help a neighbor. Make a donation. Service shifts your focus from your anxiety to the needs of others, activating circuits of well-being and purpose. Authentic connection. Instead of isolating yourself, seek out faith communities or support groups. Share your concerns with those in your inner circle as discussed in Chapter 6, and offer your support. Interdependence is a pillar of collective strength. 4. The rhythm of constant gratitude. Gratitude is one of the most powerful emotions, capable of changing brain chemistry. In the midst of a global storm, finding reasons to be grateful doesn't deny the reality of pain, but rather expands your perspective. Practice 1. Global Gratitude Journal. Daily, list 3 things you are grateful for, including one that is the result of a collective effort. Science searching for cures, essential workers, the solidarity of strangers, prayer of thanksgiving. Take time to thank God for blessings, even small ones, being grateful not for what you want, but for what you have and for who you are. This is a radical act of faith. When you practice vertical connection, the global storm doesn't leave you immune to pain or worry, but makes you unshakable at your core. You realize that the eye of the storm is not just a place of calm. It's the place where you are connected to Source. You are the pillar that stands firm, not by your own strength, but by the strength of the one who sustains you. You, chosen of the living God, become a beacon in the midst of darkness, an oasis of peace in the desert of collective anxiety. Your life is not only a testament to personal resilience, but living proof that there is a greater hope and purpose, even when the world seems to be falling apart. In closing, let's tie all these loose ends together by creating your manifesto of power. You will declare your identity, not just to yourself, but to the universe. Ready for your final declaration? The Manifesto of Sovereignty, the final declaration of the chosen of the living God. You, chosen of the living God, refuse to be a soul swept away by the whirlwind of anxiety. You learn to command the inner storm. Chapter 1. Broke the hidden pact that kept alert. Chapter 2. Recognize the biology of fear. Chapter 3. Deactivated the productivity mask that masked escape. Chapter 4. Reconfigured your internal language. Chapter 5. Practice compassion without becoming codependent. Chapter 6. Brought peace to global chaos. Chapter 7. And advanced bold projects without stooping to stage fright. Chapter 8. Anchoring your faith even in external crises. Chapter 9. Now, in this final chapter, we will consolidate everything into a sovereignty manifesto. Your public, non-negotiable, immutable declaration, a seal of freedom that immortalizes your unbreakable identity. This is your sovereignty charter. It is not just a text. It is a pact written in the blood of courage and the ink of faith. This manifesto will anchor your soul in the deepest rocks of truth. You are not a slave to fear, but a monarch of your own peace. Pillar I, recognition of divine origin. 1. I was born chosen by the living God, not by merit, but by grace. My worth is granted by Him, not by the approval of others. 2. My identity is not tied to any title, position, or approval, or result. It is founded on the voice of the one who formed me in the womb and raised me from the ashes. 3. Even when the world calls me weak, my essence remains strong, for I was designed for eternal purposes. This pillar breaks the chain that binds your worth to external factors. Memorize every sentence. Read it when you wake up, when you create, when you face criticism. These statements are not empty affirmations. They are rocks of faith. Pillar 13, mastery over the inner storm. 4. I am the captain of my own emotional roller coaster. Every emotion, even anxiety, is a messenger, not a master. 5. I refuse to be a prisoner of catastrophic thoughts. I observe them, investigate their lies, and return them transformed into lessons learned. 6. My body is not hostage to the old alarm. I use breath, movement, and presence to reprogram my system. This pillar confirms that the storm is not a final command. You govern your inner self. The words above are orders to your body and unconscious mind. Pillar 13, authority over relationships and the outer space. 7. I honor each relationship with clear boundaries. I give time, presence, and listening, but I do not offer my peace as an offering of servitude. 8. My finances are managed with intelligence and faith, not panic or compulsion. I live in abundance with budgets for sustenance, growth, and expression. 9. My productivity and public presence are expressions of my purpose, not escapes from emptiness. I move forward with courage, accept mistakes, and refine processes. This pillar extends the sovereignty of the inner self to the outer world. It defines your freedom to act without selling out to the fear of others. Pillar 14, purpose and vertical connection. 10. I am not in control of everything, but I trust the controller of the universe. My faith is not an escape from problems, but the anchor that keeps me steady when headwinds blow strong. 11. Use every difficulty as fuel for my greater calling, to illuminate paths, to serve with my hands and words, and to reflect divine compassion. 12. Charm and my creativity, my voice, and my testimony are tools of liberation for me and for those who cross my path. This pillar seals your connection to the source of all power. It ensures that your sovereignty does not depend on pure human effort, but on the eternal covenant with the living God. The final oath now. In light of all this, make a single declaration of power. I, your name, chosen by the living God, with my right hand raised, swear, 1. To be sovereign over my emotions, my thoughts, and my actions. 2. To govern my relationships with loving boundaries and non-negotiable rights. 3. To advance my projects with faith, courage, and bold creativity. 4. To trust in the command of the heavens to guide my every step, even in the darkness. This is my oath of freedom. I am sovereignty. I am peace. I am invincible in Christ. Write this oath on a digital or physical parchment. Place it where you will see it every morning, when you wake up, and every night before you go to sleep. Read it aloud, with intention, until you feel your body vibrate with each sentence. Repeat it whenever you face doubts or unexpected storms. This is no ordinary closing phrase. It is a call to action that commits you and creates a movement of liberation. 1. Comment now with Sovereign in capital letters on this video. By commenting, you make a public declaration that your place is not in the prison of fear. You assume the crown of the one who rules your emotions and your destiny. 2. Click like with the conviction of one who chooses freedom. Each like imposes on the algorithm the truth that this manifesto of sovereignty must reach more souls thirsting for peace. 3. Subscribe and ring the bell to join the dynasty of the chosen. This channel is not just a portal of knowledge. It is a throne where you remember, week after week, who you are and the calling you carry. 4. Share this video with 3 people who still fight in storms. Don't send a link. Send a message. This is my seal of sovereignty. You are the next to declare yours. Be the herald of peace, chosen by the living God. Your journey of freedom does not end here. It continues in every challenge, in every moment of calm, in every breath of faith. You are not just a survivor. You are sovereign. You are not just human. You are a reflector of eternal glory. Stand up in your identity. Declare your sovereignty. Down and live the peace the world cannot steal. The reign of fear is over. Your reign of sovereignty begins now.